Tonight, I want to tell you about Joey Dennehy. More to the point, I want to tell you about the chew toy that he got his dog when we were kids, but we're going to get to that in a second. Big Joey was the teenager who lived across the street. And he was a big guy. He had broad shoulders, he had long hair. He wore t-shirts with the sleeves ripped off. He smoked cigarettes and played football on the street with his metalhead friends. Tommy, Nicky, Anthony, and the Fat Brothers. And they never chased us. They let us hang around, so that made us one of them. Just stand over there on the street, okay? I don't want to hit you. And they'd thunder by, stomping on cigarettes that they threw away during the last play. Now, Big Joey listened to loud music. And not just any music, but rock cranking from his car stereo. He never drove the car. He just hung around outside with the windows rolled down. Billy Idol, Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot, come on, feel the noise. If there was ever a leader on our street growing up, it was Big Joey. He was a teenager, and that meant I believed everything he said. If Big Joey said it, then it was the truth. Once when I was about 4, I was patrolling our street on my big wheels. What I used to do, you patrol when you're 4. And I ride past Big Joey and his friends, and they're standing outside his house, and they're beside the telephone pole with axe gouges in it. And as I pedal by, he says to me, "Hey, Brendyn, come here. When your mother calls you in for dinner, here's what I want you to say. 5 minutes later, I'm pedaling past my house. My mom's at the door, and she says, "Bren, come on, dinner time." No fucking way! And Big Joe and his friends collapse, and my mom's jaw hits the floor. Real nice, Joe. Real cute, teaching my son to say that. And I didn't get why she was so pissed off. I mean, Big Joey said it, so it was the truth. Once when I was about 5, we were all hanging outside in Big Joey's front yard. It was me, my brother Ed, Vinny, Nicky, and his little brother, Little Joey. Now, Big Joey had a cold that day, but unlike our mothers, Big Joey's mother, I guess she never gave him a wad of tissues for his pocket. And his sleeves were ripped off, so he couldn't use those. But Big Joey had a way, a new way. He introduced us to that immortal contribution to mankind, the snot rocket. His chest would expand, there was a swift nasal thrust, and it flew through the air faster than we can follow it. And it wasn't until we heard Little Joey scream that we realized it landed on his arm. And Big Joey, he walked away with a swagger. You guys could do it too. Later on, as I'm easing onto the couch from Mr. Rogers, my mom wants to know why I'm holding the side of my head. And I tried to tell her how hard it was to shoot snot rockets out in the backyard, but my head hurt too much to talk. So I guess it worked better in Big Joey's yard. Now, I was a fast runner when I was a kid. And that came from Big Joey, too, because he told us that our next-door neighbor, Old Lady Helen, was really a witch. And if she catches you in her yard, if she catches you, she'll burn your fingers with matches. Holy shit. Matches. I mean, my older brother, Ed, and I, we cut through her yard all the time. I mean, she'd smile and say, "Hi," and we'd keep walking. We'd say hi back and keep walking. But what did that woman think after Big Joey talked to us? I mean, we'd still cut through. She'd still say hi, but now in response we would say, "Go! Go! Run! Run!" Were there any matches? Shit, did you see any matches? Did you see them? When I was 9, Ed and Vinny started skateboarding. Now, this is the late 80s, early 90s, and cool kids, that's what they did. They skated, right? And they picked up these tricks super fast, like the ollies and the kick flips and the acid drops. And we thought we knew tricks. Man, one day Big Joey comes along and he says, "Hey, Vinny, let me see that board." Skateboarding was invented in California, but here's how we used to do it in the East. And I'll never forget this. He threw the board down onto the street, and it's rolling away. He ran after it, did a handstand on it, a cigarette dangling out of his mouth the whole time, a bottle of Bud square on the board. He never spilled a drop. He made it to the end of the street, and we stood there and stared. Whoa. And he got to the end of that street, and he kicked the board up, and he slapped the board into Vinny's chest, and he said, "You guys can do it too." And he walked away with a swagger. Later on, I got a hold of Ed's board, and I tried it out in the backyard. And that night, my mom wanted to know what happened to the side of my face. Now, Big Joey had a shaggy sheepdog named Peppy. And he said he found him up in the woods, upstate New York. And he was part wolf. And it was the first I'd ever heard of a bloodthirsty wolf sheepdog crossbreed. But Big Joey said it, so it was the truth. As chew toys go, Peppy never went in for any of the rubber bones or feathery birdies or any of the pedestrian stuff. Peppy's chew toy was a foot-long rubber double-headed dildo. Veiny and threatening. And at 10 years old, I had no idea what something like that was used for or where you'd get it. I mean, maybe Big Joey made it. Maybe there was a section of the video store. You know, like maybe there was like a dirty toy store for dogs. Kind of like the section of the video store, you know, with the curtain in front of it. I had no idea. I did know that when Peppy's teeth clenched around that thing, part of my body shrunk away in abject terror. And they'd be at it for hours, and I'd be wincing just as long. Ooh. One time, Big Joey takes out Double Dong for a game of fetch, and on maybe the third or fourth throw, we hear a slow and thick sploosh. Double Dong had landed in the creek. For a few summers there, my family and I, we went camping in upstate New York, and we'd come across these streams, these beautiful, clear, potable, totally swimmable streams, like a Poland Spring commercial. Well, the creek in our street growing up was not an upstate creek. Our creek is where evil, fucked up creeks went when they died. It was literally hell for creeks. Weirdo alien plants along the shoreline, ancient bottles of Bud and Heineken half submerged in a foot of green scum. And even at 10 years old, I knew the creek beds were not supposed to have hair. And that hair actually stretched up out of the creek into this cruel-looking drainage pipe that ran underneath the street. And then about 15 feet away, there was a storm drain. And if you look down the storm drain at night, you can catch these blind eels that lived in there, wriggling and writhing. And we'd stand there with flashlights. Whoa, look at that one. Look. The creek. The creek. It was dangerous. It was disgusting. And all the mothers on the street would lean out the door and say, "Get away from the creek. I don't want you kids hanging out over there. Get away from there." So we'd always hang out over there. We were drawn to it. Right? When you're a little kid, and your mom says, "Stay away from where you're going to go. You're going to go over there." We were drawn to it. And that wasn't anything new. Because Big Joey said that when he was our age, there was once a humongous thunderstorm that engulfed the whole town. And it turned the creek, this is before the creek was so polluted, it turned the creek into this giant whirlpool that went around and around and around and went around so fast, it sucked Tommy Hafner up inside of it. And Tommy Hafner went around and around like a stick figure. And Tommy Hafner would have drowned if not for Big Joey. Big Joey ran out of his house and he dove into the whirlpool and he pulled Tommy out. And even though every time the story was told, Tommy Hafner would say, "That never happened," Big Joey would walk away. He'd walk away with a swagger and say, "You guys can do it too." But no way, no. I mean, this was the creek. It was forbidden, fantastic, and now featuring a giant double-headed dildo floating in the center. Peppy skidded to a halt right at the shoreline. Survival instincts kicking in. Big Joey, he furrowed his brow. "All right, listen up. I'm going to go inside and lift. But when I come out, I want to see Peppy's toy right by my front door. And if it's not, I'm going to kick every one of your asses out here. I know where you all live. Even you, Brendyn. And he walked into his house, and Peppy followed him, right? Was he telling the truth? Would he really kick everyone's ass? Well, Big Joey said it, so this wasn't the truth. The kids on our street knew this was horseshit, actually. You see, Big Joey always had a standing claim on kicking someone's ass. And even if he meant it this time, I mean, given the choice between Big Joey and the creek, I'm going to take my chances with the human. I mean, let Double Dong rot. The stupid thing made me shiver even in the summer. But Jason, though, Jason wasn't from our street. Jason was from a few blocks over. He lived near the elementary school. So when Big Joey said he would kick everyone's ass, Jason believed him. I mean, fear raced across this kid's face. You can see it. He dropped to the street, took off his shoes and socks, and headed for the creek. And not one of us went to stop him. We just stood there and stared. Whoa. And I think we reacted that way for two reasons. First, we stared because staring is what kids do. And second, I think we all secretly wanted to test the legend from like a safe distance. I mean, would his legs just fall off? Would his whole body just... He'd definitely smell. Now, he eased into that creek like he was putting on a really big, thick pair of pants. Flecks of hell dotting his legs. He bent down, cradled Double Dong in his arms like some kind of screwed up baby, and walked out of the creek. Whoa. He walked over to Big Joey's front door and plopped Double Dong down next to the welcome mat. Like an old forgotten soldier, shoes and socks in hand, Jason headed east off our street. Somewhere a sad and stoic trumpet played. Walking toward whatever fate waited for him, at the hands of a mother who wanted to know why her son smelled like sulfur. And we didn't see him much after that. 25 years later, I hope he still has full command of his legs. I don't know what happened to Double Dong either. I mean, maybe Big Joey's mom found it and threw it away. Maybe Peppy ate it. To this day, I cringe at the idea of what a dog moves on to from a double-headed dildo. I don't know what happened to Big Joey either. And that's most sad of all. But that's the thing about growing up, right? I mean, you lose people in the years. But I have him up here, though. And sometimes I ask that teenager if he'll ever grow up. And he just smiles and cranks the volume on his car stereo and says, "No fucking way!" My name is Brendyn Schneider. Thank you very much.